everyone, this is People in Power and I'm Summer El-Shahat. On today's programme, the struggle for Turkey.
Security is very important, but not security at the expense of freedoms. Security with increased individual freedoms.
When Mustafa Kemal Ataturk founded the Turkish Republic in 1923, he separated religion and state, anointing Turkey's military as guardians of the secular constitution. And since 1960, the military has staged 3 coups, each time justifying its actions by claiming that secularism was under threat. But in 2002, the AKP were elected to power in a landslide victory. They described themselves as Muslim Democrats. They put Turkey on the road to membership to the European Union and embarked on a series of democratic reforms that some in the military bitterly opposed. And then, in 2007, news broke of a new military conspiracy to overthrow the government. Hundreds were arrested and charged with belonging to an underground network known as Erbakan, a secret state within a state. It had allegedly interfered in Turkey's political life for decades. The trials that followed, which are still ongoing to this day, were hailed by the authorities as taking Turkey a step closer to full democracy. But the old secular elite called the proceedings a sham, designed to fatally undermine the military's once central role in the nation's affairs. Well, what might be the final twist in this complicated saga came in January last year, when hundreds more current and former military officers were arrested for yet another plot. Known as Sledgehammer, its alleged mastermind was a former Army Chief of Staff, General Çetin Doğan. With General Doğan's trial now underway, Julia Rook has been to investigate.
This is Çetin Doğan. He was once a 4-star general and Deputy Chief of Staff of the Turkish Army. He and other generals forced out Turkey's first elected Islamist government in 1997. He's now at the centre of a new drama, pitting the old military elite, the self-appointed guardians of a secular Turkey, against the institutions of a new democratic and more Islamic Turkey. On the 22nd of February 2010, General Doğan was arrested at his home inside the War College in Istanbul. Since then, almost 200 serving and retired military officers have also been arrested. They're accused of conspiring with Doğan to overthrow Turkey's governing AK party. If found guilty, the 70-year-old general faces a sentence of up to 20 years in prison. Recep Tayyip Erdogan is Turkey's prime minister and leader of the AK party. Here's what he had to say about the arrests.
Kapalı kapılar ardında millet iradesini çiğnemek için plan yapanlar bundan sonra karşılarında hukuku bulacaklarını görmelidir.
Doğan is accused of masterminding the plot in 2003. The elaborate plan, known as Sledgehammer, was intended to overthrow the AK party, then in power for the first time. The plot allegedly included plans to shoot down one of Turkey's own fighter jets. Greece was to be blamed in order to provoke war. A bomb was to be planted here, in the washing area of the Beyazıt Mosque in Istanbul, and a number of journalists were targeted for assassination. It's claimed the plotters would use the ensuing chaos to overthrow the government. General Doğan was released on bail in June 2010. He proclaimed his innocence.
Buraya tıkanlara esas örgütlü suçlardan muhakeme edilmek üzere bunlarla işbirlikçi yapanlara buranın yolu açıldığı zaman dava edilecek.
He's recently undergone surgery and has been convalescing on a friend's boat.
I serve my country, and the outcome of this service, I had never dreamed that would be ended in the jail.
Doğan claims the charges against him are manufactured and was happy for us to film his side of the story.
It is unbelievable because all the fictions, everything fabricated, is if you live with them, if you don't try to forget them, you cannot live.
But Dogan and other generals did engineer a political crisis in 1997, forcing the collapse of Turkey's first elected Islamist government. He says his opponents now want to settle old scores.
They think that they suffer too much because they are obliged to leave the office, I mean the government, and they want to take revenge of it.
The generals forced a democratically elected government to resign because they claimed it had been trying to change Turkey into an Islamic theocracy like Iran. Dogan is unrepentant.
O dönemde kesinlikle şu sözler vardı. Başbakanın ofisi bir sanki tarikat şefinin ziyaretgahı haline gelmişti ve birçok şeyhler, şıhlar başbakanlık resmi konutuna ziyarette bulunuyorlardı müştereken, dini giysiler içerisinde. Türkiye'yi hızlı adımlarla bir şeriata bağlı bir düzene sokmak için gayretler yoğunlaşmıştı. Diyorum da. Bu Türkiye'nin trajedisi. Modern bir çağda Türkiye'yi orta çağa sürüklemek isteyen bir grup var.
The man the military forced out was Necmettin Erbakan, widely regarded as Turkey's first Islamist prime minister. Now he's 84, but still a leading political figure.
50 tane milletvekilini tehdit ettiler. Sizi 1962 tarihindeki gibi yasalaya götürecek.
That was no mean threat. In 1960, the military took Turkey's then prime minister to a prison on the island of Yasyada and hanged him. 37 years later, the fear evoked by those events was enough to crack the government.
Oradaki o misafirhanenin veyahut da hapishanenin fotoğraflarını aldılar. Ortağımızın milletvekillerine gösterdiler. Bak seni şu odaya koyacağım.
Erbakan's coalition partners took fright and the government fell. Today he's reluctant to talk about Çetin Dogan.
What are your feelings towards those members of the military who did this? Do you think that they should be punished?
Bunların eğitilmesi gerektiğini düşünüyorum.
After 1997, Erbakan's welfare party was banned. Some of its members were jailed and others lost their jobs. This is Sultanbeyli, a religious district in Istanbul. The local mayor was Ali Nabi Koçak, a member of Erbakan's party. One of the few to hold on to office, Koçak used his municipality as a centre of Islamist resistance, but he soon came under pressure. He'd previously allowed local Quranic schools to flourish, like this one. It used to be a school for 800 boys and girls, but it was closed after 1997.
100'e yakın Kur'an kursu kapattık, cami inşaatlarını durdurduk diyor. Hatta bana caminin yıkılmasının emrini gönderdiler. Ben yıkmadım.
The closures were the result of an internal security strategy instigated in 1997 by General Dogan. It lasted until 2002.
Lanet işte, nefret uyandırdı. Yani ama burada askeriye suçlandı, yazık oldu yani.
Many of these men say they still share the Islamist hopes of former Prime Minister Erbakan.
Şeriat zaten Müslümanların hepsi şeriatsıdır. Şeriat yenmez, içilmez, yaşanır.
Dogan is quite open about his involvement in the military's anti-Islamist strategy. It was organised by a unit within the military called the Western Working Group.
Ben bir Batı Çalışma Grubu kuruldu Genelkurmay'da. Batı Çalışma Grubu'nun Terms of Reference'ı, yetki talimatını
Ben taslak olarak hazırladım ve komutan onayladı. Sadece söylediğimiz söz şu, Türkiye genelinde laiklik karşıtı ve Türk Silahlı Kuvvetleri aleyhine haksız söylemleri tespit etmek, bu konudaki gelişmeleri belirlemek ve yasal platformlarda bunu ilgili ve yetkililere duyurmaktan ibaret.
The Western Working Group even had a representative inside the Prime Minister's office. Dogan is unapologetic. He says he was only fulfilling the military's duty as guardian of Turkey's secular constitution. Others saw the policy as military government by proxy, with Dogan and his fellow generals at the helm. And this is how Turkey was governed behind the scenes for years. Ankara. The International Strategic Research Organization is a think tank. Sedat Laçiner is its security expert, and his views on the military's pervasive influence are clear.
Turkey was under a coup regime, and the generals, soldiers never went back to their barracks. They have always been in the office of president, in the office of prime minister, in the courts, and in the parliament. They were the only ruler of the country.
Before long, the Western Working Group began to see subversion everywhere.
It was the duty of the army to destroy the internal enemies. Who is internal enemy? It is me. I mean the liberals, Kurds, Alevis. I mean the 70% of the Turkish people.
The unit moved beyond Islamic groups and started persecuting journalists. One such journalist was Mehmet Ali Birand. He's also a top TV presenter. Soon after the crisis of 1997, he became a target.
I was framed by the military, and I was presented as a person, a journalist who accepted a bribe from the PKK, a terrorist organization, to write good articles about them.
Birand was fired by his newspaper and his TV show was cancelled.
Do you see this as something that happened to you within the framework of what's known as the Western Working Group?
Yeah, that was one of the consequences of Western Working Group, because they have planned that.
Ali Birand was lucky. Eventually, the evidence against him was shown to have been faked. General Dogan denies all responsibility. Over the years, the Western Working Group antagonized more and more people in Turkey, some even within the military itself. Recently, those critics have been fighting back. This is the General Staff headquarters in Ankara. It's the alleged source of a steady flow of documents and coup plans leaked to the press since 2007. In January 2010, a small newspaper called Taraf broke the story that led to General Dogan's arrest.
Bu balyozla ilgili, yani balyoz belgeleriyle ilgili bu 24 generalle ilgili tutuklama istemi.
Mehmet Baransu is Taraf's chief reporter. He claims he was given a suitcase containing 5,000 scanned documents and computer disks allegedly incriminating General Dogan.
Ordu'da o dönem çalışan ama daha sonra emekli olmuş bir asker verdi.
The suitcase also contained voice recordings from 2003 of the general leading a military training seminar.
Bu plan çalışmasında yalnız yine bizim planlarımız içerisinde yer almakla beraber ikinci plana ittiğimiz, aslında günümüzdeki gelişmeleri dikkate aldığımız zaman birinci öncelikle ele almamız gereken iç tehdidi bu seminerde öne alıyoruz.
The Taraf journalists say they were alarmed by what they saw and heard.
Tabii biz önce kasetleri dinledik ve kasetleri dinlediğimiz zaman hayır bunun bir savaş oyunu olmadığına karar verdik.
Those suspicious of Doan point to his past, the 1997 crisis and the Western Working Group. Taraf's allegations confirm their worst nightmares. But Doan insists that the evidence is faked.
Benim konuşmalarımdan sadece ve sadece belli bir bölümünü alıp sadece belli bir, bunu biz hani İngilizce tabirle copy and paste diyoruz, bir dokümana koymaları söz konusu. Dokümana benim konuşmalarımdan içerisine koymaları söz konusu.
8,000 kilometers away in Cambridge, Massachusetts, the general's daughter, Pinar Doan, and her husband are both professors at Harvard University. They've been conducting their own investigation. They claim that not only was the evidence copied and pasted to incriminate the general, they also say that 3 of the 19 CDs may have been created in 2008, 5 years after General Doan held his seminar.
So the most striking inconsistencies are in a couple of documents which are in this CD number 11. If you look at the page 2 here, 58 is Medical Park Sultan Gazi. The hospital was founded in 1996 with the name of Sultan Hastanesi and was bought by Medical Park Hospital Group in 2008. And therefore, the name became Medical Park Sultan Gazi in 2008. You can't have this hospital name in a document written in 2003. No way. It's been manufactured. These documents have been manufactured.
Pinar Doan says there were other inconsistencies on CD number 11. In particular, organisations targeted by the alleged coup plan of 2003 that didn't exist at the time. Checks on 3 of these organisations confirmed what Pinar told us.
No company as such.
Pinar Doan wanted her own expert opinion. She got it here in New York. Yalkin Damarkaya is a former New York policeman who now runs his own computer forensics laboratory. I asked him if a CD can be trusted as evidence in a court of law.
Absolutely not, because it is so easy to fake. You cannot have evidence like that.
Damarkaya's report is being used in court as part of Doan's defence. He showed me just how easy it is to forge computer documents.
We can start creating fake documents to frame you. But let's look at the metadata of the document we just created. It was created Friday, September 8, 2000. I will close this.
Having faked the date of the first document, Yalkin Damarkaya then created a second document, also in my name, and burnt it onto a CD.
So I created 2 documents, 10 minutes apart. My plot was created in year 2000. My second plot was created in 2003 because I just changed the date and time. You get the point. 10 minutes apart, 2 documents. One is in 2000, one is in 2003.
The charges against Doan are based on the evidence leaked to the Taraf newspaper. But if that evidence against Doan is forged, does the case against him collapse? Not according to Mehmet Baransu.
97 darbesinde eğer ilk 5 kişi sayacaksak bunlardan biri de Çetin Doğan'dır. Eğer hesabını sormazsak yarın başka Çetin Doğanlar karşımıza çıkar.
Baransu points to the audio recording of Doan's training seminar in March 2003, just months after the AK party swept to power. On the recording, Doan warns the assembled officers that the greatest danger comes from Islamic groups inside the country.
Ses kaydında diyor ki, biz pastanelerden fırınlara fişleme yaptık. Şuralarda işte hapishaneler yapacağız. Stadyumlarda insanları toplayacağız, sorgulayacağız. Bir kere bunun bir darbe toplantısı olduğu belli.
While he admits the voice in the recording is his, Dogan insists the seminar was only a training exercise. He says his scenario was based on the government declaring martial law, not the army.
Do you think this seminar reminded people of 1997 when the Prime Minister was forced to resign?
Seminerin bir darbe planı şeklinde pazarlanınca gayet tabii onu hatırlatır. Ama semineri gerçek boyutuyla, dikkatle başından sonuna kadar izlenirse bu seminerin çok ciddi bir ülke savunması ile ilgili sorunları gündeme getirdiğini görür.
Do you feel that secularism in Turkey is under threat from the AK Party government?
Laik devlet yapısı, evet, AK Parti tarafından tehdit ediliyor. Buna inanıyorum, bu gerçektir.
So aren't these the perfect circumstances for the military to justify an intervention?
Türk Silahlı Kuvvetleri'nin hiçbir zaman ülke demokrasisine dışarıdan müdahale şeklinde girmesini ben ilki olarak tasvip etmiyorum.
So if you don't agree with military interventions, why were you planning one in the seminar?
Bizim seminarda yaptığımız hükümeti alaşağı etmek, hükümeti devirmek değil. Bizim yaptığımız, doğrudan doğruya seminerde yaptığımız böyle bir ayaklanma faaliyeti olduğu zaman bunun bastırılmasıyla ilgili faaliyetlerdir.
It's alleged that you were plotting to bomb 2 mosques in Istanbul, bring down a Turkish Air Force fighter. Are you guilty of these things?
Kesinlikle hayır. Böyle iğrenç bir iftiranın karşısında kalmaktan çok üzüntülüyüm.
Dogan's trial has already begun in Istanbul. His fate will be decided here in this special court. But Dogan isn't alone. Since 2007, hundreds of military officers and civilians have been held in this prison, charged with plotting to overthrow the government. Journalist Mehmet Ali Birand was framed by the military. Does he think that the charges against Dogan and some of the other alleged coup plotters could have been fabricated?
I think at least 50% or, okay, 40% is true. That's enough. I'm sorry. I mean, even if 20% is true, that's it. Because the military faked documents, the military exaggerated things, so now it's tit for tat.
That's not very democratic, behaving like the military, is it?
Sure, I mean, we are not talking about democracy. We are talking about establishing a real democracy. That's tough. I'm sorry, life is a bitch. It's a fight. It's a war. It's a war for democracy.
Turkey is a candidate for membership of the European Union. The EU has encouraged Turkey to normalise relations between the military and the civil authorities. But it's also warned the ruling AK party that the upcoming trials are a test for Turkish democracy. Erbakan Baj is Turkey's Minister for EU Affairs. I asked him whether the trials have become so politicised that evidence against some of the military officers may have been faked.
If there have been some people that have been mistakenly alleged or mistakenly detained, I'm sure they will prove that they had nothing to do with these allegations.
So you think that is a possibility, that there may be people who have been mistakenly accused?
There are so many people that have been detained. I'm sure some of them might have been detained on wrong charges.
So are you out of the woods? I mean, is there still a danger of a coup in Turkey, or do you think the worst is over?
Turkey is no longer Turkey of 50 years ago, where prime ministers are executed. Turkey is not Turkey of 30 years ago, where books of Kafka and Dostoevsky are collected and burned. We're coming to understand each other. Yes, defense is an important agenda. Yes, security is very important, but not security at the expense of freedoms. Security with increased individual freedoms is something we can achieve, and that's what we're trying to do.
That's it for this edition of People in Power. If you'd like to comment on this programme or have any other issues you'd like us to address, then do get in touch on aljazeera.net/English. Until next time, bye-bye.